Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening. Happy special episode of the Believe in Serverless live stream. I am joining you from the United States, and it is a holiday today. The best holiday, some Americans say. Today is the 4th of July, American Independence Day. So, happy Independence Day for all of my fellow Americans, and happy July 4th for everyone who is not. So, before we get started today, I want to give a thanks to our sponsor today, Momento. And Momento is a serverless data platform, and we're going to be using them today for our trivia game. We're going to be using the topic service, and we're going to be using cache and the auth as well. Before I start coding, this is my first public appearance since I announced to everybody that my child had cancer. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has reached out and shown their support, uh, given me their stories, donated to the fundraiser that we have for her. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's helped more than you know. So, okay, thank you. And without further ado, let's get rolling today. So, I'm going to put my coding hood on and we're going to start. So, Andres and Matt from Momento a couple weeks ago started building a trivia game. And I was talking with Andres yesterday and he said they didn't get very far. So I'm actually just we're gonna continue building that in spirit, but we are going to start completely over. And in order to not show you guys the boring scaffolding, I am going to, or I've already scaffolded it a little bit. So I'm gonna show you what we have and I'll talk about a little bit what we're gonna do. So let's bring the code on. Not that way. Here we go. Thank you all for joining me this nice early morning. I appreciate it. At least it's early for me. It's 6:30 a.m. Okay, so here's what I have so far. This is the Believe in Serverless trivia game. And I said in the promos for this that it was going to be like a Family Feud. I lied. I thought I actually did when I was creating the promo that it was going to be like Family Feud, but then when I actually thought about it, it's more of like your standard trivia game where a question gets put up on the screen and you buzz in, and whoever buzzes in the fastest gets the opportunity to answer the question. Family Feud has that at the beginning, but then they go through the teams and they, answer surveys and stuff. We're not going to do the survey part. We're just going to do the who can buzz in the fastest and answer the trivia question. So that's what we're going to do. I have this homepage. This is really just to list the games. And I have created a modal here where I can create a new game, can add a pass key for security reasons, because everything that I'm going to do today is open, it's public. So this is going to be the easiest way for me to do that. I'm just going to say create game. And what that's going to do, at least in theory, it's going to create the game. It's going to create a session that lives for an hour. It's going to put that in a Momento cache, and it's going to push me over to here to the actual game page. If I go back to the home page, you can see I have an active game. It created this random string of 4 characters, MIEW. This is the game ID. This is what we'll use to jump back and forth. So there's nothing actually in here. I left it intentionally blank so we can go and build this. Now, what does that look like as far as the code goes? Not much. It's a relatively simple app so far. Let's take a look. So in here, we have our page, which is our home page, and it doesn't do much. It loads the games from an API that we have hosted inside of Next.js. I'll walk through that in a second. Loads the games, and then it renders them on the screen. Here we go. Right here. So iterates over the games, puts a little circle for each game, and puts the game ID in there with a link that navigates us to the game page. If we look at the API, we have pages API. We will say when we are creating a new game, we have 2 routes for /API/games. One is get, so that's fetching the list of the active games. What that's going to do is it's going to hit Momento cache, and it's going to pull the game list down from a set. And a set is a collection. Oh, let's fix that. A set is a collection of unique items. And that means that all of the strings that I put inside of a set have to be unique. If I put in the same string inside of a set, it's not going to be added. So it guarantees uniqueness in the values inside of the set. So that's going to keep track of our game list. If I'm creating a new game, it will create that random 4-character string. It will add our game ID to the game list, and then it will save that game object inside of Momento as well. And that game object really is just that pass key and then that Boolean flag that we had. Do I want to deduct points if somebody gets a wrong answer? And maybe we'll add things more to it. I don't know. Inside of Momento, a dictionary cache item is it's an object. We'll just say that. It's just a basic object. You can fetch the entire object out of the cache, or you can fetch specific fields out, and you can also increment values as well atomically. So a lot of functionality there, and that's why we're using that one. The other piece that I want to show before we get into actually coding is the questions. So this is a trivia game, and I went and built a question feeder, I guess you can call it, using Neon, the serverless Postgres service. So I added a bunch of serverless related questions inside of the thing, and I have an endpoint in here that will go and fetch a random question and serve that back to us. And we can actually take a look at what that looks like using the Postman VS Code extension. So we can see that's adding a question. If we do a get, we can do games / we'll just do a fake ID, game ID / questions. And what this is going to do is it will generate a random question. It will save the question that it used to a set so we don't get duplicate questions, and just keep serving us new ones every time we hit that. What I also did in here, because we are using SQL behind the scenes, we can actually do a pretty decent job in filtering the questions or sorting them. So if I wanted, let's say, Azure specific question, we can do that inside of our question. So if I have tag equals Azure, we can hit there and we can get questions just for Azure in here. So pretty cool. And that's part of the thing that we're going to be building today. So what I want to get done today is I'm not going to productionize everything, but really what I want to do is get the core functionality out. So what I want to be able to do is display a question on the screen, enable people to buzz in, and then figure out who that is that buzzed in and disable the buzzing for other people. So that's what we're going to be doing. And like any tenured programmer, I am going to be stealing code that I wrote before that does something that does pretty much this exact thing. So let's get started with that. So we're going to need 2 pages. If we look here, we have our game page. And this was the one that we were looking at a second ago that was this blank hello world page. This is going to be the one that displays the question, and it's also going to be the one that displays who buzzed in. So the host can say, I see Sam is already commenting. So Sam, you buzzed in first. You get to answer the question. And then we have to create another page as well that was for the contestants to say, yes, me. Let's create that one first, because that one's actually a pretty simple page. So let's do that. So in here we have our app. This is going to be the page. We have games, game ID, and then we will do a new page for, what should we call it? Play? Let's call it play. Play.js. So inside of Next.js, this is going to be the route in the URL, and the name of the file is going to be that last part of the URL, unless it's page. Page is basically the index. So for us, game/game ID is going to route to page. So play here is going to be the one that we're going to have for the players. Since I am not an expert by any means in the front end, I'm just going to copy and paste, and we're going to modify from here. So we're going to do play. This is our play screen. Player. Let's check to make sure that that works before we actually go and build everything. Okay, so we have that. Play. Oh man. Okay. I don't actually know if live reload works for that. Let's try running it again. not not a good start. Okay. Now it could just be that I'm doing this wrong. Let's see. Another thing that we can do, npm run build. And so this is going to actually create a production build of the Next.js app, and this is going to show us the pages that it creates. Hey Lee, good morning. I believe it is still morning in the UK. Tried to get this at a good time for you guys as well on this fine American day. Okay, so looking in here, yeah, I didn't do it right. Let's try another way. Let's see if I was just like grossly overestimating my abilities here. Let's do a play folder within games game ID, and then we will put this guy in here and rename that to page. So games game ID play. Let's see if that builds. Have my coffee here. Is anybody else drinking coffee this morning or afternoon? Okay, cool. That page does exist now. So this is the way that we're going to build it. Even if it's not quite the right way, I'm sure somebody can call me out. I would actually appreciate that if you guys could call me out on that. Okay, refresh. Oh yeah. One more time, npm run dev. Okay, so we do know that that page is going to come in. Here it is. Hello player. Yes, first win of the day. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to initialize the Momento stuff. In order to do that, we need to get an auth token that's scoped for an hour. We'll just say for an hour, but also scoped with limited permissions because I'm not about to pass my API key down to the client. This page runs on the client. You can see here it does that. So it actually has code that's going to be running in individual browsers, and passing down an API key down to there is not a good idea. That's just asking to get compromised. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to generate a short-lived token that only has access to a very specific set of things to do. It's only going to be able to publish and subscribe to our topic service, and it's going to be able to read from a very specific cache item. So in order to do that, what we're going to have to do is create an API endpoint that's going to create that auth token. So I'm going down here to our API folder, and we're going to create a route. So let's do games, game ID. We're going to create a new one called tokens. And this is where we're going to start copying code that I've done before, because while I am pretty sure I know what to do, I definitely knew what I was doing before. Okay. Copy, paste. So this is an endpoint, and it does a few things. And I think it does actually too much for what we want. So we're going to start stripping stuff out. This is going to be, we don't need to do this because we can initialize Momento globally. So let's do this. What we're going to be doing is just creating a token. And it's okay if we issue it over and over again because it has a short life. So let's say const auth equals auth client. Remember, this is the auth client coming from Momento. We have updated this. So credential provider from environment variable Momento. So I have an environment variable inside of this next app called Momento that has my API key, my super user key, if you will. And this is the one that allows you access to everything. So what this is saying is go and fetch my credentials from an environment variable called Momento. And that's going to initialize the auth client. So I can get rid of this. And let's see if rec dot method equals, I can do that. Keep our nesting down. So since Next.js doesn't really let you define the verb on the HTTP methods, it just puts the route up. we kind of have to do this. This is saying if it's not a get, if we're not reaching it with a get, return 405. 405 just means not supported. And that's just what we'll do. So this is saying once we reach line 14, we can guarantee this is a get. And let's do it. Let's say username. This is what it's going to look like, by the way. So we're going to do, the route's going to be API /game /game ID /tokens. Oh no, I really like Amazon Q, but sometimes it gets in the way. And then we're going to do username equals Allen. So this is going to be what we're expecting to come in. So we have this, we're going to destructure that. Game ID, username. Okay, so inside of Next.js, request.query contains path parameters. It contains query string parameters. I think it contains headers. I might be wrong on that, but it contains everything in one object. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull those out, assuming that those are in there. And then we're going to throw an error if one of those is not in there. We know game ID is going to be in there because that's how we got hit here. So we're only going to throw an error if username is there. So if not username, let's see what it comes up with. Yeah, that's good with me. Okay. So this was for item potency before. We don't need that. Okay. So what we're going to do, we want this person to be able to do a couple of different things. So this, remember, this is going to be like they're on their phone and have a button that says chime in. And what we want to be able to do is let them chime in and send a message basically to the host. And to send a message to the host, they need to be able to publish. So we need to add the publish permission, but we also want to be able to let that person subscribe, because let's just say we have two people that are trying to answer the question at the same time. Person A hits it faster. We don't want that button, that submit answer button, to be enabled for person B anymore. So we want to be able to turn that off. In order to do that, we need to subscribe to a message to say, hey, it's paused, and then disable the button. So we're actually going to publish and subscribe on here. However, we're going to publish and subscribe to different topics. So we're going to change the permission set here. Publish only. And our cache is going to be game. So that's basically the namespace when we're talking about topics. And then our specific topic we're going to have is, we have game ID. And then let's just say, so I'm publishing, let's just say submit. And so that means I can publish and I can push that button that says, I think I know the answer. And then we're also going to add another role, another permission in here. It's pretty good. I like these autocomplete answers. Say status. So status is going to be what turns that button on and off for the game. So these are different topics. You think of them as different channels or event channels when we're sending events over the wire. And then the last thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to be able to read a specific item out of the cache. And that's going to be semaphore? No, that's not right. It's going to be the distributed status that everybody can read at the same time. So whenever we get this status message, we're going to say, okay, go ahead and fetch that data. I don't remember what that syntax is, so we need to look at another thing that I've written before. Nope. There it is. Okay. So what I was looking for here is how to scope a permission down to a specific cache item. We're actually going to call this the same thing. So that means that whenever I create this auth token, I can only read this game ID slash status item out of the cache. If I try to read anything else, I'd get a 403. So what we've done here is I can say I can publish to game ID submit, I can subscribe to game ID status, and I can read game ID status out of the cache. So it's okay that these two values are the same because topics and cache items don't clash, they don't collide. So that's just going to be easier for us because we have fewer variable names to remember. So let's create that auth token. Auth dot generate disposable token. Let's see what the params are. Scope, which we've built up here, and expires in. Okay. Was there anything else? Now we're good. Okay. Let's import some stuff. This is something that I think people would call me out on. I do not like multi-line imports. I will run this line 500 characters if I have to avoid going down to 2 lines. I know a lot of people like only one thing on a line, but not me. Okay. Oh no, we want generate disposable token. So that's an enum, and that's what we're going to be checking here. So when we get that response, we're going to be checking, is that a success? Was that a successful operation? And we're going to say yes. And let's make sure that we have the right thing. Okay, so we have the token itself and the expiration time, and then we're good. So we're going to return that back. In the response, it's going to be token and exp. Okay. If it's a failure, we're going to throw that, and that'll return a 500, say something went wrong. So we'll log it and then throw that. Okay, cool. Easy enough, right? So now with this endpoint, we have created a scoped token that allows the user to publish, subscribe, and read a specific value. That way, we're not passing down the API key that has access to do everything, including delete cache and create other API keys to grant permissions to other people. So that's obviously a big security risk, and we don't want to do that. So first things first, security. There's the route. Let's put that up here so we can continue to see it. Okay, let's try that. Let's see if it works. Where's Postman? Okay, so we have games. This is the game ID. We'll say Allen is the game ID. Tokens. Let's try it without. Get rid of the body. Send. Hopefully we get a 400. Yeah, missing username. Good. Username, Allen. Okay. Let's take a look at what we did wrong. Unable to create auth token. Doesn't help too much, does it? Okay. How did we get that? Throw it here. Console dot. Okay. Let's get some more details. Token instance of generate dot error. This is going to give us the IntelliSense, which is why I do it this way. Token dot. We'll just say that console dot error code, and then let's also log the message. Cool. Try it again. Hopefully we have something more meaningful now. Okay. Those are functions. Who doesn't love programming like this, right? At least these are easy to get past. Okay. Unknown error. Unrecognized topic role. Okay. Ah, yeah. Skill issue. There we go. Now it's going to work. So I had subscribe. The topic role was actually subscribe only. So let's send that. Let's minimize the terminal here. Okay, boom. Now we're cooking. So we have our token. This is what we're going to be using to authenticate. And then we have our expiration date, which we're just going to ignore for now because we're just trying to get functionality to work. But glad that works. Okay, so let's go back to our page. Play. Yeah, this one. What's the best way to do this? How about we do this? Just for the sake of simplicity, for getting things in here as quick as we can, let's just pull it from a query parameter instead of building all of that mumbo jumbo. I think I'm going to eventually create a form to say the username and all that stuff, but let's just do it from the query parameter just for sake of speed. Okay. Const username equals, oh gosh, I don't even know how to do this. ChatGPT we go. How do I get query string parameters from a route in Next.js? Okay, easy enough. So let's import use router. Let's get back to the correct project. Okay. Use router. Next router, and then we're going to do const router equals that, router dot query. Let's check to make sure. Let's not go too far before we continue doing things. So next router wasn't mounted. Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to do that. I think it's actually next navigation. Ooh, lots of problems here. Can you guys see that okay? I don't know if okay, I can. Can't destructure property of router.query as it's undefined. Okay. So first things first, let's make that a little bit safer. So let's not destructure it, assuming that it's not going to be in there. Much safer. Okay, undefined, cool. That's what I expected to see. Still no. Maybe. Let's check. Okay, no. Well, that's annoying. Username, maybe I spelled it wrong. Nope. Let's see what router.query looks like. I know you guys can't hear it, but my dog sounds like is attacking my cat downstairs. Happy 4th of July to everybody. Okay, that's not working. Let's go back. You know, I thought this was going to be simpler, but it might actually not be. I'm using next/navigation. Is that right? So smart. Use search params. Okay. Let's do that. So I probably don't need router, but I'm going to leave it in there just in case we route the user somewhere else at some point. Const username equals use search params. Okay, here we go. These are the types of moments where I like to say guaranteed success. Yes, cool. Don't actually know why it's printing twice and why one is bold and one is not, but let's see that later. If anybody knows, please tell me. Don't actually know that one. I would like to know why. Okay, so we know that this works now. And what we want to do is we want to call our, nope, not that one. So a lot of things open. Now that we have that, we want to call the fetch, basically create that token. Okay. Import use effect from React. And use state. So we're going to be managing state now inside of this. So let's get rid of that. We don't need router yet. Changed my mind. Okay, and we are going to be doing this. Change that. We're going to set username to name. And so what that's doing is it's setting that state object to the value from the query string parameter. And now what we can do is we can actually use that as a trigger to go and call that token creation. So what this is doing is it's saying every time username changes, the username state object changes, we're going to run this, basically an event handler. Const, let's say get token equals async. See what that does. API games game ID. So we're already missing something. Tokens username equals username. Okay. Okay, now we need to now we need the router. Router. And the reason we do, I keep typing user router. I hope that happens to other people and not just me. Okay, so we need the game ID. And I'm pretty sure that what I was doing before is what we need to do for getting access to the game ID because that's part of the path. So let's do that. Let's check that. So let's see, const game ID equals router dot, nope, query is not even a thing. Okay, back to ChatGPT. Let's figure it out. How do I get path parameters? Use params. Okay. Okay, get rid of that, jump back, params equals use params. Okay. So we should just be able to do this. Params dot game ID. We don't need this because we're just doing a get. This looks good. I'm going to assume that it's going to work right off the beginning. So okay, so let's recap before we try it out. So we have pulled the params, which is going to give us the path parameter of game ID. We have gotten the username out of the query string. We've set that, and now we have to call this. We have triggered this function to run whenever username is set, which we've done right here. And when we run this function, we're calling get token. We have to do it this way because of the async await functionality. I haven't found another easy way to do it. So this is the way that I've always done it. So we're going to call it our API. API games, game ID, tokens, username equals usernames. This is the value from the query string parameter. And we're just going to log the data for now. So let's see if that works. Lots of logs. Okay. Here we go. Many re-renders. Not good. Okay. Let's ask. So I don't know. Why does this get too many re-renders? So smart. Easy enough. So all we need to do is add this use effect here. In theory, it's not always right. So that's going to minimize the time we're setting the state object. So that was what was happening. We were setting the state object that was triggering a re-render, and it was just infinitely looping. Okay. Looks like it actually did it. Let's take a look. Yeah. Okay. So now we have our token. And now we can now we can actually do things. So what we've done so far is we've created our endpoint to issue our limited scope token. We have called that endpoint with the username and the game ID. And now we have our token. So now we can actually initialize the Momento client. And we're going to need to initialize both the topics and the cache client. So let's go steal some of my own code from a different day. Which one? This one? This one looks good. This is Flappy Mo. This was a game that I made a while ago to show cache and topics. Made this for a conference that we went to, GDC. Page. Oh, I think I did this one a different way. Let's see. Let's just search. Topic, client, start game. Okay. No. Okay. So this is the code we're going to be stealing. So let's do this. So we have our cache client and our topic client that's in here. Let's copy both these things. And I will explain what this is doing here in a second as soon as we get everything, because there was a significant learning curve for me for doing this inside of a browser. Again, because I'm a back-end engineer, working in the front end is a little bit different because the life cycle events are different than working in the back end. Okay, let's look where set topic client is. Okay, we have these things, and then we'll add this to the bottom. And let's take a look at what it's doing, because chances are it's doing too many things. Okay. I think we need to add another state object for our token. Let's see what I did before. Sorry, I'm flipping around so much. No, it doesn't actually look like it. This is one other thing that I forgot. Is auth token in my many refs that I was using before? No. Where do we initialize that? Where's that coming from? Oh, it's provided. Okay, that's fine. Okay, back to our trivia game. Okay, so let's go ahead and just add that as a state object. Const token, set token. Say null. Okay. Rename it from auth token to just token. Okay, so we're going to, instead of just logging it, we're going to do set token. data.token. And remember what we're doing is we're kind of triggering these sets of events basically by these use effects. So we've set our state, our token state, which is our auth token. And what that's going to do is it's now going to trigger this guy because it says, hey, whenever token changes, run this code. So let's do that. So we have if token, a window is not undefined. So this was I did this before. Again, I'm not super confident in the front end. I did this to guarantee that this code is running on the front end. Before I was having issues with this trying to run on the back end, basically when it was compiling or when it was building, and it just didn't work. So this made sure it was running on the client side. I'm pretty sure it had to anyway because of use effect, but we'll see. So here we go. So we have topics equals this, and we are saying we're going to use the token that we just had issued for topics, and then we're going to set the state topic client for that, and then we're going to do the ref for this. And again, I'll talk about the ref in a second because that was a big learning curve for me. We're going to do the cache. We're only going to be reading, so this TTL doesn't really matter because we're not doing any writes. So we'll just say 5 minutes. That's fine. And then again, from string, that token that was just issued, and we're going to set the cache client and the state and the ref. And then this we don't need. That was for usability thing. And then we're going to add a listener before unload. I don't actually know what that does. Let's look at the code we're stealing from. Oh, that was just a cleanup thing, which we should actually do. It was sending a beacon up, which is an async API call inside of the browser to say, take me out of the user list, which ultimately we'll probably do again. But for now, I guess we'll just put it in wholesale. Token should leave. Yeah, let's get rid of it. Okay. So this is going to unsubscribe us so we don't leave any of those open subscriptions when we leave. Oh, sorry, I missed this comment. Thomas, did that ultimately get your question answered? I see you said cool. We good? It's going to run that event handler when you leave the page. So like when you close the window or navigate back, it runs that event handler asynchronously. So it doesn't cause it to be slower when you're actually moving. That async is actually really important. Okay. So this is just running the cleanup. I don't want to take all the memory from your browser. Update session, we're just going to unsubscribe. So, okay. So we're doing this trigger of events here. So now we have to do another trigger off of that. Whenever the topic client is set, we need to subscribe for updates to that one topic that we were looking at before. And I'm pretty sure that's what we were doing in Flappymo. Let's check. There's a lot in here. This was a whole game, I guess, in one page. Let's look at, yeah, okay. So whenever topic client was set, it was subscribing to the game. So we'll do the same thing. So now that we have the token, we've initialized all of our SDK clients, and now we're actually going to subscribe to what we need. So did I call it topic client? Yes. So if topic client is not undefined and we haven't already subscribed against an idempotency thing, we don't want to receive messages more than once, then let's subscribe. You can hard code this. So again, this is the cache name, AKA the namespace when we're talking about topics. And then the topic that we want to listen to is game ID dash status, I think. Hopefully that's what we did, yeah. So we're subscribing to game ID / status. Okay, and so what we're saying is when we receive an item on there, we're going to process that message with the value. We don't need the token ID. Okay. So subscribing to that topic, we're saying run this event handler when it receives a message, and then just log an error if it receives an error. It's going to return the subscription object. And then we're going to set that in the state, and we're going to clean that up whenever we navigate away from the page. So that's what we've done so far. It's not actually doing anything yet because this is not a event handler that we're actually doing anything with. So let's define that. Process message, async message. Okay, so this is the point where we actually have to make design decisions. We have to figure out what that payload is going to be when we send status or send a message over status. And really what this is doing is this is going to be toggling the enable, disable on the I know the answer button. That's literally all it's doing. We're just turning that on and off. I think we should just pass the JSON property in there called enabled, and we'll do a Boolean value for true or false. Now, what we want to do is we actually want to pull that out of the cache because we want a single source of truth up in the sky that's managing that. So we don't have to rely on the contents of the message. So what we actually want to do is pull the value out of the cache from this message handler. So let's do that. Const response equals await cache client ref dot current dot get game game ID status. This is a good time to talk about this ref thing because I've used it a few times, and it's important to note why we're doing it this way because it seems to add a layer of abstraction or complexity on top of what we're doing. Let me actually zoom in a little bit for us. I didn't realize it was so small. Okay. So this ref thing, because we are doing this subscription and processing the data inside of an event handler, when we initialize or when we create this subscription, we're essentially freezing the state in time. And if I was to just pull things out of the state every time this event was running without using a ref, then it would always be using the values inside of the state objects when I created that subscription because it's frozen in time. Now using ref is saying, okay, well, go to the reference of that variable right now and pull the value from it. So really what we're doing here with this ref thing is just passing a reference to it and then saying, give me the latest instead of get me what it was when I was created. That took me a very long time to figure out the first time I built with this. So let's keep doing this. Nice. If response cache get hit. Let's see. No, I don't think I imported this. Let's do that so we can get some type. Cache get. Okay. I just want to make sure the IntelliSense is in here, so because I don't want to. Yeah. Is enabled equals response.value true. So the cache is only going to be storing string values. It can store string or binary data. We're just going to store strings for the sake of readability. So this is how we're going to be converting that to a Boolean value. So response.value equals true, string true. Okay. And so now what we want to do is update the is enabled state object. We need to create another one that the button's going to bind to. For that, And because, again, we're doing this in that async event handler, we're going to have to create a ref object to be able to update that appropriately. So let's do that. I guess we'll just start from here. Const is enabled, set is enabled, equals use state. We're just going to default to false. We'll just say if it's not there, we're just not going to use it. Const is enabled ref. Cool. So now we're going to do that. And going to do set is enabled. Oop. Don't want naming collisions. Enabled. And then is enabled ref.current equals enabled. So now we've updated that state object inside of our async handler that was frozen in time. And we have whether or not that button should be enabled or disabled. Now let's take a look at what that actually looks like. So let's create a button. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We actually haven't looked to see if this is working this whole time. Now we're gonna have to work our way back. Use ref. Okay. Cool. Oh no, still have errors. Let's take a look. So much fun. Game ID is not defined. See where we use game ID. Oh yeah. Game ID. Yes, should be fine. Should be fine. We'll see. Predictions? Is that going to be fine? Okay. So that's disabled. Let's, how do I make a button look different when it's disabled? Tailwind. Using Tailwind CSS to style these things. So let's just do this. Okay. Hey, it looks disabled. So now let's do this. Let's actually test it without building all that infrastructure. So let's go to the Momento console and let's send a value in here. Okay, we're gonna have to do that through Momento. Okay, publish to a topic. So inside of the Momento console, you have a sandbox to play with it, so you don't have to implement it yourself. So I am going to do US East 1 to the game. The topic is, what did we say? MIEW dash status. Now we can, this isn't going to work because this is pulling out of the cache. That's okay. That's okay. Here. Let's just do proof that it works. Let's add inside of process message to console.log message, just so we can see it working. So I don't expect it to actually change the disabled status of this button, but I do expect to see something come in here in the console. Hello. Spell hello right. Publish. You can see over here, this is subscribed to that topic as well. Dang. That didn't work. Let's try refreshing. See where we've gone wrong. No configuration provided, so it's using default. That's fine. Try it again. Spell hello wrong twice in a row. I guess I can pretend that it's because it's early here. Yay. Okay, so we got it. So we know that this is actually going to work. Now what we can actually do as well, let's duplicate this, is let's set that value. Let's set the status value inside of our cache. We can do that from the console as well. Game MEW status. Okay, here we go. MEW status. Say that, and it is true. Yeah. Okay. So we have set the value true inside of this cache item. And now we just need to trigger this to look at it. So let's say, hello. Oh no. That's fine. Look, look, it worked. It worked. It's enabled now. So that's actually really cool. That's really cool because we did all of this. We did everything here without building anything in AWS in the back end. This is all really just browser code. You saw everything was working over here. So what we've done is here. Let's do this. This will be an even cooler demo. Let's set the status to false. False. Insert. Yes. So we were just saying, yes, let's overwrite that value. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, app, go look at that value again. Is that enabled? So publish, and boom, it disables the button. Pretty cool. Let's do high fives for ourselves. That's kind of how we're going to be doing this trigger here to disable that button. So good for us. We did it first try. And again, that's all using client-side code. So we have an event handler that fetches the distributed state of is that button enabled or disabled, and then sets the disabled property on that button. And the reason we're doing it this way is because if somebody says, I know the answer, I don't want somebody else to raise their hand and say, I also know the answer. We're rewarding the first person to click that button. Let's do the other side of it. So we have that done. Man, I'm so excited that worked first try. Never happens. Okay, let's actually make it do something. On click, let's say, what should we call it? Let's call it submit. No, let's call it answer question. That'll work for me. Const answer question equals async. Okay, so this now is going to be us publishing. So let's say the button is enabled and I want to say, I know the answer to this question. So I'm going to hit that button and I'm going to send an event, publish a message to the host and say, I know what the answer is. So we're just going to do a very basic topic client ref.current.publish game. It really doesn't even matter what this value is because they're going to be speaking it. This is going to be a game that's over video like what we're on right now. Let's make sure that this is the right topic. I think it was submit. Game ID submit. Let's look. Tokens. Yeah. So we're publishing to the only other thing that we're allowed to publish to, and we're saying true. That's it, actually. This is it. As far as the outbound things go, it's just a one-liner in here, and then we can go and update the other page. Yep, that's it. So now let's update the other page because that's actually going to be pretty cool too. We can copy a lot of this because we're going to be doing the same thing. Not this one. we want the play page. No, this one. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this is the host page. This is going to be the page who's actually hosting. So we're going to add all these things. Let's add our imports. Import use state, use ref. There's a lot of things we need to import here. We don't actually need a username for the host. So what we'll do, we'll still call some of these same things. Okay, so we're going to get a token, but we're going to hard code that username to host. Okay, so we don't actually need anything here. We want that to run automatically when we land on the page. We'll add security in a future thing. Right now, we're just trying to get it to work. So let's get that. Let's set that token. Okay, and then let's bring in this one. Yeah, lots of things that we can just copy. That's pretty nice. Already done the work once. Why do it again? Okay, so making sure that we do that. We're going to, you guys do this too? Is this reuse your own work, copy, paste your own work? Okay, don't need this. Okay, so we've set the topic client, set the cache client. We're going to need to add some logical branching inside of that API endpoint because we're going to need different permissions. But before we do that, let's check to make sure this all works. Good, good. This one, we're going to subscribe to submit. So the players are going to be publishing to submit. So the host is going to be subscribing to submit. And then this one, so we have the message, and then we also want, I think it was user ID. Let's check. Hold on. This was actually really important. Token ID. When we create that auth token, we're embedding the username inside of the token itself. So we're not allowing the client to actually provide the username because that's a security risk. We could spoof usernames. So what we're doing in here is we have embedded that username inside of the token itself, like the JWT, and we're going to decode that value out so we can get the username of the person that's submitting the answer. Don't actually need the value because that's unused. So we're just going to be processing the token ID. And then, yeah, so right now, let's const process message async token ID. Let's call that username because that's really what it is. Okay. Let's do this. Nah, console log is fine. No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Username. Ref. Current. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're actually just gonna display the name of the user on the screen just for the sake of clarity here, just to show that it works. Username, set username equals use state. We're gonna do this. This is our default state when you're using React. So we're just gonna say hello world. So it looks like what it did before. Const username ref equals username. Okay. Let's update our API endpoint here real quick. So when, okay, we need different permissions for the host. Basically the opposite of these things. So let's do that. Const token scope equals get token scope, and we'll say game ID and username. If username equals host, then we're gonna do one thing, else we're gonna return that. Okay. Now that I have done this, now I can talk. So we said if it's host, we're going to do the opposite. Subscribe only to the submit. We're going to publish only to the status. And then we are going to write only to the status. Again, that's the host. That's the one that's controlling all of these things. And then otherwise, if it's not the host, I understand this isn't super safe, but it's fine. We're just making a little game for fun. Otherwise, we're going to do the opposite. Okay. So that should be it for our update on there. So what are we going to do? Set username. Yeah. Name. I don't want naming collisions. I just do that so much. Username ref, current equals username. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to test to see if that works. So what we've done is we've initialized our clients. We have subscribed to the things we need to subscribe to, and we have changed. Let's do this. We have changed the username or what's displayed on the screen to the username of the person that's clicking that button. So let's do that. First, let's see if that throws us some errors. Let's see if everything's hunky-dory. User effect or use effect is not defined. Of course it's not. Hopefully that's it. Hopefully everything else works. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So we have that. Okay, let's reset this status. So we're going to go back to my Momento console. We're going to set this value, set that to an hour. We're going to say enable my button, please. And this is going to say, look to see what that status is. We've enabled the button. So now hopefully what we've done is when I click this button, this changes to Allen. It didn't work. It didn't work. Interesting. Okay. Nothing errored. It says message received for token. Let's see what we need to do. I was really hoping that was going to work. That was going to be awesome. You know what? I think that I did something wrong when we're creating the token. I might be wrong, but let's check. No, no. Where is username used in here? Oh, okay. I did do this wrong. I believe I have to do this. I wasn't actually encoding the value in there. Oh. See if I got that right. Yeah, okay. This is it. This is the real deal here. So now I have encoded that username inside of the JWT. This is what we were missing before. Okay. So we're good there. Okay, now we need to go in and refresh. We need to get a new auth token in here. I actually don't know why that reset, but that's fine. Oh, right, because we didn't set the initial state. Okay, let's see if it works. Here we go. Try number 2. It's annoying, but let's let's look at this. Okay, this at least gets us somewhere. This is something. Um, I also don't know why this isn't updating. That's annoying. Let's see if it. We are getting somewhere though. I mean, this is not all for naught. Okay. Yeah, that should be working just fine. Because it was blank before when you were console logging, and now it was undefined. So maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Let's look at this one. Really shouldn't be. You guys can see how I troubleshoot. It's just a bunch of console logs, which I assume a lot of you guys do too. At least I'm hoping that's what you do. Okay, reset that. What we need to add that we did not do already is set the initial state. So on page load, this needs to actually go and pull that item out of the cache and figure out what that initial state is. Right now, it's defaulting to false. So we need to add that in there so I don't have to keep sending this message to go look at the current value. Let's see what it does. Okay, still still no. Token ID is undefined, so it's actually not coming in. Let's. Okay, maybe it's on me. Maybe it's the way that we're creating it over here. All right, well, look at that. Hey, Ron, happy 4th of July to you. Happy American Independence Day. And for everyone that's joined me since I started, happy American Independence Day. Also, happy 4th of July. Okay. Um, so I think what we've done wrong here is maybe something along these lines. So I actually want to do a console log and make sure that username is actually defined. So let's do that. Okay, let's go back to here. Refresh. Well, that seems to be our problem. I don't know enough about Next for this. Um, so it gave us a 200, and then it gave us another 200. Goodness, it's calling it so many times. Set username. This is what we're going to do. Name. Where's name? Okay. And then here, if username. So we're just going to do the JavaScript truthy if username is set. So this should hopefully get us there without those undefined. Yeah, cool. Maybe this will work now. Okay, we've enabled our button. Boom. Let's look. Okay, good for us. Now we can actually see that my username is in here. Now, I don't know why this isn't updating anymore or why it's not updating. I mean, it's working, but I've clearly done something wrong. Let's look. So this is this one. Set username and then username ref equals username. Oh, Oh, don't you love it when it's something simple like that? I love it and I hate it at the same time. Uh, because I should have known that in the first place. But yeah, super annoying. Okay, here we go. Is everybody ready for guaranteed success? Let's do it. Guaranteed success. Hello world is now going to say Allen. Let's refresh. Hold on. Let's refresh and make it work that way. Okay, there we go. Yes, I don't think I have the confetti overlay anymore in my streaming setup. I need to add that back. But okay, so that I'm not going to stop. We're going to continue for about another 15 minutes. But let's recap what we've done because that's actually really cool, and we haven't done. Uh, we haven't built any WebSocket servers. We haven't done anything to get that real-time notification system to really be stood up. We're just using like single API calls from Momento. And to show it in another way, let's actually do it. Let's do another window. And let's say Travis. Travis was my best friend in elementary school. So we're going to have Travis play too. Um, let's refresh this. So I want to show you, yeah. This is a fan out communication here, what we're doing. So whenever we publish here, we should see both of these because this is fanning out to all the subscribers of this specific topic. It's saying go in and fetch that value. So we should see both of these at the same time enable. And I did. Cool. I'm out of coffee. So let's do this. Let's let Travis click. Nice. Let's let Alan click. Nice. So just really can't, for me, that's super cool because we haven't stood up any WebSocket servers. We haven't really built any backend at all. There's a couple of API endpoints that we created inside of this Next.js app to create that auth token and stamp that username inside of the token, but that's it. That, like, we haven't done anything else. This is just client-side code that's sending these real-time notifications over the wire, these fan out notifications and these things that are actually manipulating the state inside of a browser. So real simple, real cool. Let's add a couple of different things in the last 12 or so minutes that we have. So one of the things that we needed to do on that play page was fetch the current state. So right now, let's just remind ourselves what we're doing. Right now, whenever we refresh, it's defaulting to false. It's disabling this button. So what we want to do is we want to get the current state. So this is in the scenario where you're playing a game and somebody maybe refreshes the page or joins late. They want to be able to get that current state that everybody else sees. So we want to fetch that out of the cache. That's why it's distributed and not just passed over the topic message. So whenever we are loading the page. So we have our username, and then we have, we're setting the cache client. So this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be triggering off setting the cache client, kind of like what we did here. Whenever the topic client is set, we're going to do the same thing. Use effect. We're going to pull that item out of the cache. So let's const get current state status. Let's use the same language. So async. Okay. Get current status. And then this is going to be triggering when cache client is updated. So what we're going to be doing is const response equals await. Cool. It already knows what we're doing. That's exactly what we need. If response instance of cache get hit, then yep, it already knows what we're doing. Set is enabled, and then is enabled ref current equals that. So this again is setting the current state. So if you remember, we have is enabled set to true automatically. So now whenever we refresh this page, it's going to be going and hitting that cache call, pulling the is enabled state out for this button, and then rendering that as enabled or disabled. So in theory, if I refresh this, that button should come in as enabled. Just love it so much. Okay, let's see what happened. Cannot read properties of null reading get. Okay, so let's add some error handling here. Let's do if cache client ref current. Really, we're just going to check to make sure that that value exists. Now let's look. Okay. Refresh. Okay, so you did see that it came in as false. You saw it flash as disabled, and then it re-enabled. So false is that disabled state. What we can do, what we would do in a production state or situation, is set an is loading property in the state, and if is loading is set to true, we just wouldn't render that button. After it's loaded, after it's fetched that value out of the cache, we would set is loading to false, and then we would render that button as disabled or enabled. Right now, it's fine. So let's prove that it works. So let's set that value to false and watch it stay disabled. Well, what happened? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're good there. We're good. We know that works. So false, insert, yes, let's overwrite. And then let's refresh this. So now we said that's disabled. Now we're going to say, let's look, and it stays disabled. Yes. Okay. The last thing that we're going to do today, and then we'll recap one more time, is actually setting this value and publishing it when we receive it on the host side. So we're going to update this page. So do something with message. Right now, we're just updating the name. Now we're going to go and update the actual value of that is enabled status, and we're going to publish a message to let people know to refresh that value. So we're going to do await cache client ref dot current dot set game. Not quite right this time. Whoever you are, Q Rams game ID slash status, and then we are going to do false. That's right. So we're saying no more. Okay. So we've set that to false, and then what we're going to do is we're going to publish a message topic client ref current to publish status. The value of this doesn't actually matter. Changed. We don't use this value. That's thrown away. I'm just going to do A. Okay. That was simple. Let's see if that worked. So in theory, what this does is let's go and bring all three of our windows back. This one, and this one, and this one. And we're going to refresh all these. Let's shrink this one. Let's put it, all right. Okay, so we have that guy. Who's that? That's me. We have Travis over here. And then we have the host here. So let's refresh all these just to make sure that we're in the right state. Probably not necessary. Let's enable that again. This will be the last thing that we do. True. Insert. Confirm. Okay, so these should be enabled. Now, what we should have just done is I click me with this. We're going to see that username display on the host screen, and then the button should be disabled for both of them. Let's see. Let's let Travis win. Did not work. I don't know why. Let's try again. And there's an error at least. Cannot destructure enabled of undefined as it is undefined. Okay. I don't remember destructuring that, but let's go see where that is. We did not destructure enabled. Let's look at the network tab. Let's see if anything's going out. Yeah, we do have that going out. Okay. Let's look at this guy. Was there anything in here? Cannot establish connection. Receiving end does not exist. Oh, no. Okay, let's clear that. Refresh. Okay. So it's definitely on this page that is the problem. I don't actually know where the problem is here. That's an interesting one for me. I don't know. It's a shame that that's happening and is blocking us right here at the end. Let's do this. Let's turn it off and turn it back on. Let's kill the server. Let's kill everything. Let's delete you, and you. Okay. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think it might have been, yeah. We've been going for longer than an hour, so this game actually died. It doesn't exist anymore. That was our problem. I think. Could be wrong, but I think. Okay. So we have this, and we're going to do our two other sessions here. Play username equals Allen. I'm switching the sides of the screen on you guys. Okay, and then we're going to do another one, and let's see, we'll say, we'll have Daryl. You can play against me. Okay, so we have Daryl. And now we actually need to go and change our value here. Change the game ID, and we're going to say enabled is true. Okay, refresh. Okay, here we go. Last thing. Let's hope. Let's really hope it works. I really hope that it works. So let's see. Daryl's going to click yes. This should change to Daryl, and then both of these should be disabled. There we go. We did it. Happy 4th. Okay, that's awesome, guys. We did that. We did that in an hour and a half, and that was all. That was all it was needed to do something like this. So we can control that game state across as many people as we need to. For this game. And in theory, if you didn't see it in both in the Believe in Serverless Discord and then across the Believe in Serverless social media channels yesterday, Jonathan from Serverless Guru posted a message to say, if you want to play this serverless trivia game, you can go ahead and sign up. And it'll be teams of like 3 or 4 against each other where a question comes up. It'll be on this screen here. And then you can click the click me button and answer, and we'll keep score on each team. So I think I might continue this tomorrow morning. We can continue some of these things. I think we've done the hard part, honestly, and it wasn't even that hard. We were able to do it in an hour and a half, but we've controlled the game state. We now have who is the first one to click. We've disabled it for everybody else, and then we can do the follow on, the scoring and whatnot from here. But again, there's no server side code. The only server side code that we have in here is creating those auth tokens. Everything else is all client side, which makes it super fast, super easy, and really flexible and dynamic. So really happy that we were able to get this far. Now, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the time. And now that there's a lot more people on now than when I started, I'll say it again. I started the session saying this is the first time that I have appeared publicly. Here, let me take off my silly hat. This is the first time that I've appeared publicly since I said that, since I announced that my 3-year-old has cancer. And, it's been really hard. It's been a hard 7 weeks. That's an understatement. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody. Sincere thank you for the support, for reaching out, for your stories, for all of you that donated to our GoFundMe. Really, really appreciate it. And while reaching out and saying I'm thinking about you might not feel like it does very much, it does. Hearing from you guys and just talking, even if it's just I'm thinking about you and me replying thank you, it helps. It shows that you guys care, and I don't really have the words besides I really appreciate it. So thank you guys. Things are going well. It's hard. We're responding. She's responding to chemo really well. We just finished the drug part of round 2, and she's coping really well. Lost her hair, of course, as it is with chemo, but she is. I think she's handling it the best of everybody, honestly. So her spirits are always up. She's always running around. Whenever she's not hooked up to an IV pole, she's doing cartwheels and spinning and all that. She hasn't lost her energy or her spirit, which makes my wife and I very happy. So keep reaching out, please. There's still months and months left on this journey for me and for my whole family. So, I will eventually come back to work. This has helped. Believe in Serverless has helped a lot. It's helped me cope. I enjoy communicating and educating and working with you guys. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'll come back to work in Momento, probably when school starts back for my other kid. But it's not over yet. It's a long road. Cancer is a long journey. But anyway, thank you guys. Happy 4th of July. I'll let you know if I'm going to continue this tomorrow. I had a really fun time today. I hope you guys did too. We made a lot of progress in just an hour and a half. Anyway, go shoot off some fireworks. Go watch some bald eagles. Sing the Pledge of Allegiance, or sing the Star Spangled Banner. All right. Until next time, thank you all, and we'll talk to you later. Happy coding.